Hey, what's going on guys? It's Bertrude. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having an absolutely awesome day. Today we're going to be carrying on with our 50 build showcase series. That was my channel icon. These are some of my videos. This is what I do guys. I make builds. I've got about 50 builds, 47, 48 builds, something like that. I make builds, I invade and I make videos and I stick them all here on my YouTube channel. Like I said, we're carrying on the series of the 50 build showcase, and today we're going to be specialising in my level 30 builds. I've got 3 altogether. This is going to be a really cool little video, so sit back, relax and enjoy. So guys, welcome back to the channel. We're carrying on our 50 build showcase yet again. I think this is episode 5 now. 4 or 5. It's definitely episode 4. We're rifling through these videos pretty quickly. I'm having an absolute blast making them. It's so good doing quick invasions, you know, not doing a load of invasions on the same build. I'm doing 4 or 5 invasions max on each build, and then I'm moving on to the next one. It's so good, it's so refreshing making videos in this way, getting so many different play styles in a shorter amount of time to put these videos together. I'm having an absolute blast on this series. I'm so glad it's been going well, and I'm so glad I decided to carry on and keep making these episodes, because like I say, it's just an absolute blast. So yeah, today we are looking at my level 30 builds. Now, I've had quite a lot of builds over my time on Elden Ring that started life at level 30. I've only got 3 at the minute, but I think overall I must have had about 5 or 6 builds that did start life at level 30. Now, for whatever reason, all of those builds didn't necessarily make it at level 30. Some of them maybe didn't feel strong enough, some of them maybe were lacking in a certain area, be it damage or defences or vigor pool. You know, there's numerous reasons why a build won't always make it at the level that you want it to be at. But like I say, I had initially around 5 or 6 builds altogether that I did intend to be at level 30, but some of them have now gone up to level 40, 45, maybe in some instances even level 50. Sometimes you make a build and you have to adapt it, but 3 builds did survive, and these are the 3 strongest builds I have ever had at this level range. The first one we're looking at is the War Goblin. Now, the War Goblin here is a very special build. It holds a very, very special place in my heart. I think it was the 4th or 5th build I ever made. Is my channel icon. You may have noticed the Omen Killer mask that we're wearing. The fashion is top notch. Is my channel icon. He introduces each episode for this series. The War Goblin, I just absolutely love him. I love the play style. It's such an aggressive build. It's all about getting in their faces and bringing the fight to them, making them scrap. The War Goblin is all about war, and he loves a good fight. He was brought up on the battlefield. He was brought up surrounded by death and turmoil and blood and guts. He's seen it all, he's done it all, and he is a true fighter. This invasion is a really good one to start. These two put up a hell of a good fight, mainly because that summon, God knows what level he was, but he was taking a lot of hits, and it took me a long time to whittle them both down, and we finally get the kill. What a good invasion to start, a really good war. I've actually edited that one down quite a lot. That invasion went on for a lot longer than I actually showed there, but a good 3 or 4 minute invasion to start the video and show what the War Goblin is all about. So in terms of the build, the War Goblin, obviously we're at level 30 as all of the builds in today's video are. We're looking at 30 vigour and we've got 25 strength. Now the War Goblin, I decided to make this guy a raw build. We're using a lot of the raw techniques on our big hammer there, the great club, the large club. We've got Trolls Raw on that one. And on the little club that we're using here, we've got Beasts Raw. Two really good Ashes of War, especially Trolls Raw. I absolutely love Trolls Raw as an Ash of War. Flipping heck, a motorbike just went past my house. That was really loud. Apologies if you heard that in the background. That was the loudest motorbike I've ever heard. But yeah, we're using Trolls Raw and Beast Raw. Now, to buff the damage on both of those, you may have noticed we've got the Highland Axe in our offhand, which obviously increases the damage of our raw abilities. Then we're also using the Raw Medallion as one of our talismans. And then just to buff a little bit more damage out of it all, we're using the Shard of Alexander. So overall, we're looking at some really, really nice damage from these raw abilities. And it's just like I say, it just suits the build. It's all about getting in close, making our opponents fight. So when you've got an Ash of War like Trolls Raw on our Great Club, it's doing a lot of crowd control, it's doing a lot of damage when it hits, and then obviously we've got that big follow-up heavy swing, and if that lands, they're gonna get squashed and they're gonna take a hell of a lot of damage from the War Goblin. It's just a great build, guys. It's so effective. Like I say, I've had a lot of builds at level 30, and the 3 that survived, out of the 3, 2 of them are very, very strong at this level. From a visual point of view, as well as a gameplay point of view, I really like having the large club and the small club on this build. It makes a really nice little change of fighting techniques while still looking very similar and looking like they belong on the build. We've got the quick attacks with the little club. It's really good, just, you know, keep those bonks going in. We're buffing both of our clubs with the fire greases as well for a bit more damage. And it's just a really nice playstyle. Just mixing it up between the large and the small club is just a really, really nice change of pace in between, you know, like invasion by invasion. As you can see in this one, we're using the small one, and you can be very, very aggressive, and it does really good damage. 25 strength at this level, plus we are using the oh no, sorry, we're not. I thought we was using the strength thing in our flask. We're using the Opaline hard tier in our flask for a bit more damage negation, and then we're using the green burst crystal tier for extra stamina regeneration in our flask as well. So I actually thought I was using the strength knot in the flask, but I'm actually not doing so. Yeah, 25 strength is all that we're using on this build, and at level 30, 25 strength for these weapons is giving us some really, really nice damage returns. As well on this build, the final weapon that I've not yet mentioned is the Star Fists in our second weapon slot. Now those are the weapons that really do take this build into a high ranking performance range. If I didn't have those on the build, sometimes I may struggle against higher level opponents or a big gank situation. I use the Star Fists when I'm really struggling. If I'm in trouble, or like I say, if there's an over level summon that I'm struggling to get some big damage on with my clubs, I can get the Star Fists out. They've got Endure equipped on them, which is just an awesome Ash of War, probably the best Ash of War in the game. Endure is so useful. I can buff the Star Fist with my fire greases as well, and then also I'm going to be looking at getting some big blood procs. So if I'm struggling with someone, I usually go to the Star Fist to try and whittle them down with the bleed. And that is what takes this build from being a really good build at this level to an absolutely awesome build at this level. We can get in close, we've got a good amount of vigour. We've got the Opaline hard tier, so we can take some damage. We're doing a lot of damage, you know, and whatever the situation, we've pretty much got all bases covered. It's just a really, really fun, really strong build. It holds a special place in my heart, as I said earlier. It's my channel icon, man. It's the War Goblin. I absolutely love him. He's a cheeky little fellow. He just loves getting in there and fighting. Yeah, it's just a really, really good build overall. Looking at this invasion here, you can see we've managed to get rid of the summon, and now we've got the host stuck in this little room. He backed out, but he's making his way back into the grace room for some reason here. I think he's panicking a little bit, having a war goblin running at him, and you can see now just how good the Troll's Roar is. So close not to kill him there. He manages to get a heal, but then we're keeping the pressure up. Another Troll's Roar. He's still alive somehow, and then one more to finish the job. Another good invasion there with the War Goblin, and this is what I love about this build, guys. This is why I love the War Goblin. It turns into some really good battles on this build. I don't know what it is about it specifically. I think it's that we've got a good amount of vigor, we can take damage, and like I say, it's all about getting in there, getting the fighting going, so it makes for some really good wars. You can have some really long invasions on this build, and like I say, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Last invasion for this one now. I thought this was quite a funny little invasion. He was up on this ledge, decided to come down, and I just go at him with the Troll's Roar. I went balls to the wall. I could have easily died here. I just thought, let's go in, let's just see what they can do. Let's see what I can do. Let's get the Troll's Roar out, see what happens. And I managed to get one off here and knock the host, luckily, down the elevator shaft for the victory. Good invasions overall. Let's take a look at the ratings. So as I said, guys, at level 30 this is an S performing build, there's no doubt about it. It's the Starfists that take it up to level S, but yeah, it's good build overall. Well, really good build overall. Fun factor is an A+, and fashion is an absolute S. Look at that fashion. It's my channel icon. It's my channel icon, guys. I absolutely love him. The War Goblin. S tier build. So we're on to the second build out of my 3 level 30 builds, guys, and this one is the Mage Miner. It's a really strong build, again just like the War Goblin. He's a mining character. He comes out of the mines where he spends all day slaving away, hitting big rocks, making big rocks into small rocks. He works hard, he's got a bad back, but every night when he gets some free time, when he gets off work, every weekend when he doesn't have to go into the mines mining away, he loves nothing more than to come out and hunt some schmeagles in the lands between. He uses a big axe, he's got the big old pickaxe, and then he's also got the little war pick as well. This build is all about landing Rock Blaster basically, guys. I built this whole build around the spell Rock Blaster, and it just suits a mining character. You know, it was obvious after I chose Rock Blaster that I wanted to use the pickaxe, especially the one that we're using now in this invasion, and then as well as that we've got the little war pick, just because that's a pickaxe. So we've got 2 pickaxes, one big, one small, and then we've also got the Sword of Centrina on this one. Just using one, guys, we don't need to use 2. The Sword of Centrina is powerful enough. You do not need to use 2 Sword of Centrinas, trust me. You get them to sleep quick enough with one. But we're basically using that just to add some really nice utility to the build. As you can see now, we just landed out on the host. We're going to use the Sword of Centrina to put our opponents to sleep. Obviously that's what it does, that's what it does best. We're going to use it to put our opponents to sleep, and then we can combo that into some really stylish hits with the Rock Blaster or even Carrion Piercer. It's so stylish, it's so satisfying, and it turns Rock Blaster, which is a really underrated spell as it is, but it turns it into an absolute monstrosity. If you're mixing it with the Sword of Centrina, putting them to sleep, and then drilling a massive big hole into the chest, slamming it down into the floor for that big old explosion. We're doing some big damage. It's really strong. We're using the Graven Mass Talisman as well, guys, on this to boost the damage of all of our sorceries. In our flask as well, we're using the magic tier to give ourselves 10 extra intelligence, and that allows us to use all of the spells. We actually need the 10 extra intelligence to use Rock Blaster and to use Carrying Piercer. So we've got 3 minutes of using our main spells on this one. Then, as you can see now in this invasion, we actually ran out of time at the end with the 3 minutes to use our spells. So if they're not dead by that time, I just go on to the other spells in our rotation and focus on the weapons. But we need the 10 extra to use the 2 main spells in our arsenal. On our weapons, we've got a couple of nice Ashes of War to accompany this build. On the pickaxe, the bigger of the 2 pickaxes we're using Waves of Darkness, which is just, we all know how good that is, don't we? It's just an absolute beast of an Ash of War. It can be really good in gank situations, and it's often the thing I turn to on this build when I need a bit of help. When I'm struggling to get the job done, as you can see now, I was using the pickaxe. And it's a 3-man gank. The pickaxe just weren't putting out enough damage, so I switched to the war pick. It's easy to get mixed up when you're using 2 pickaxes. The smaller of the 2, the war pick, weren't quite getting the job done damage wise, so I decided to switch to the pickaxe, the bigger of the 2, and turn to the Waves of Darkness. And it turned this invasion on its head, and I managed to get rid of one of the summons, and all of a sudden this invasion is looking a lot more favourable for us. On the war pick, the smaller of the 2 pickaxes, I'm actually using Storm Stomp on that. Now that's a bit of a weird Ash of War, you might think initially on this build. It doesn't really fit, but what I actually use the Storm Stomp for is to combo into Rock Blaster. Now it doesn't land every time. It's quite hard to land. You've got to be spot on with your timing. You've got to make sure, you've got to keep your fingers crossed that our opponents don't roll away straight away out of Storm Stomp. But it is doable, and when it works, it really works. Nice kill on the horse there, by the way. You could see we put him to sleep there with the Sword of Centrina. Followed it up with Carrying Piercer for a nice kill. But yeah, the war pick, as we're using in this invasion, we use Storm Stomp, and like with the Sword of Centrina, we put him to sleep and we combo that into Rock Blaster. You could see there, we just did it on the summon. We can use a Storm Stomp with the pickaxe, the war pick there. We can use Storm Stomp and combo that into the Rock Blaster as well, or Carrying Piercer, or whatever else we want to do. Storm Stomp is a very versatile Ash of War, much more than people actually think, you know. It's easy to just Storm Stomp into like a heavy attack with a colossal sword or whatever. We've all seen that technique, but you know, it's all about using Storm Stomp in a different way to what people might expect, and on this build it works really well. Got a nice kill with the pickaxe there. Obviously it's lacking in damage. Oh, the pickaxe again, it's the war pick. The war pick, Bertrude. The little one is the war pick, but we got a nice kill with it on the summon. And we've managed to get rid of the horse as well there. So another good invasion. Nice showcase of the kit all around on that one. The war pick doing the job, you know. It doesn't do much damage, but mix it into this rotation of the spells we're using and the Sword of Centrina. Mix it in and it can be really effective. We've also got a couple of nice little utility spells on this build. I usually start the invasion off by applying the glintstone, the glint blade phalanx, the floating swords above our heads. That creates a nice little projectile. We've got the glintstone pebble on this build as well, and then we've also got another projectile. It's like the little blue curved wave projectile that you can send out. Can't think what it's called off the top of my head. As usual, I can never remember the names of things. I've just got an awful memory. I find myself saying this more and more. I've got a shocking memory, guys. It's just awful. I do apologise, but I've got a few nice little utility spells, and we've also got the magic pots on this one as well, the throw-in pots, which are always effective at low level, do a hell of a lot of damage, and yeah, can be pretty clutch really when you need them to be. We got a nice kill on the summon there, and now this turned into a bit of a war between me and this host. He actually did a really good job of staying alive, keeping his health topped up, and he managed to whittle me down to no more heals, and then it came down to you know, a smidge of health for myself. He still had heals left. I had to do my best, but in the end he got the better of me, but I've left it in because it was a good invasion and fair play to that host. Let's take a look at the ratings. So basically guys, I've left this the exact same ratings as the War Goblin. I put these two builds on a par. Really strong at this level range. It's got an answer to every situation. In a tough gank we can pull out the Waves of Darkness. The Sword of Centrine is really strong. Like I say, at level 30, an amazing build. And S tier fashion, I absolutely love the fashion on this one. And finally guys, we're on to the last of my 3 level 30 builds. This is the healer. Now as I said, 2 of these builds out of the 3 are a lot stronger than the other one. And this guy is definitely the weaker of the 3 builds. But I'd argue that is the most unique. You may have noticed at the start there, we popped Blessing of the Erdtree and the Erdtree Protection. 2 big healing spells that this build is based around entirely. One of them gives us some good damage negation, and one of them gives us some awesome health regeneration whilst the invasion's going on. I mean, look at that. We had a tough start to this invasion, we took a lot of damage, and just look at our health is constantly ticking up. That's what this build is all about. It's all about health regeneration and heals using spells. You may have noticed there again, I did use 1 healing flask. That is the only healing flask I allow myself to use on this build. I give myself 1 flask for when I'm really in a pinch, and besides that I have to use the spells to heal. I'm getting a constant health regen, like I say, with the 2 big healing spells and damage negation spell that we use at the start of each invasion. We're using the Blessed Dew Talisman as well, so that's topping us up with our health. And we're also using the Old Lord's Talisman, I believe it's called, the one that extends the length of the spell effect. So we're getting a lot of health regen, but then once we've used that 1 flask, I have to use Urgent Heal or the other one, the more powerful heal, which takes a little bit longer. But that is the challenge I gave myself on this build. If I didn't do that and I just give myself a load of healing flasks as well as the health regen, then this build just becomes absolutely insane. Impossible to beat. And I did do that at one point. I tried it and it was just stupid. It kind of took away the identity of the build, if you know what I mean. I wanted this build to be all about the healing. And to do that, see, you can see the tricky start to the invasion. Look at the health regeneration. It's just crazy. Imagine if I had 6 healing flasks as well on this build. It's just stupid. It's just unkillable, basically. It's unkillable. But like I say, doing that took away the identity of the build. I wanted this build to be a health, faith-based healer. Do you know what I mean? I wanted him to be so kind of intense on his faith. You know, he's a man of the Lord, whichever Lord that is. You know, it doesn't matter. He's got so much faith, and he uses that to heal himself. As you can see now, we're reapplying our buffs just to keep our health going up. But yeah, I wanted it to be a major healing build, and to do that, I wanted to make sure I was using the healing spells to heal myself when I could. It added an extra challenge to the build. It definitely made it a hell of a lot harder, because you need to get yourself space to use those healing spells when you need to. So, you know, that can often work against us. And honestly, it's taken this build from an S plus tier build down to, you know, you'll find out at the end, but it's not an S plus tier build anymore. But what it is a character build down to the absolute core. And that's the way I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a healer. I wanted to use those healing spells to save myself in these invasions, and that's what I stuck to. It makes the wins in these invasions a lot harder to come by. I do lose a lot more than I did when I give myself a load of flasks to heal. I lose a lot more, but the wins are so much more satisfying when I'm using these healing spells to save myself. It just feels amazing. It can be a hard build, but when it works, it really does work, and it really feels good. You can see on this invasion now, what a tricky invasion this has been. 3 majorly aggressive players, but that health regeneration has saved my ass a few times in this one already. I've actually not needed to use the urgent heal, I don't think, in this invasion. I might have used my healing flask, but the constant health regen was enough to buy myself a bit of space, keep my health topped up, and we had to work hard for it, but we got the win in that invasion. So satisfying. We're going to do this at the start of every invasion, apply our buffs, make sure our health is always ticking up, regenerating, and that's what this build is based around. You've seen our weapons that we're using on this build as well. We've got the stone club with faithful strike on it, prayerful strike is it? One of the two. But when that lands, that's going to give us a lot of health back as well, which just suits this build down to the ground. Suits it perfectly. We've got the curved sword that we was using in the last invasion with the projectile Ash of War on it. Again, suits the build. It's golden themed, so it just fits really nicely. And then obviously now on this one, we've got the corded sword. Perfect fit for the build. Yeah, it just looks really good. What I was going for with the weapons, I wanted this guy to not have many worldly possessions. I wanted his swords, his armour, his shield. I wanted it all to be quite rotten looking, quite old, quite worn. But the corded sword is a bit of an exception. It's very shiny, but I wanted this one to kind of be powered by his faith. All of his swords, all of his gear is old and worn, and it looks like he's just found it in a ditch somewhere. But the corded sword, it's not a physical material, is it? It's like it's powered by his faith, if you know what I mean. And I just thought it fit really nicely to the build. It's the only shiny piece of equipment that it has, but it's fitting because he's such a man of faith. It's his faith that gives the sword its power in the corded sword. So yeah, tricky build, guys. Tricky build with the changes I decided to implement. It's like a little challenge I put on myself for this build with the heal situation, but it makes it so much more fun and so much more rewarding when those kills do come. See, we just went for a prayerful strike on this summon and missed. The good thing about that Ash of War is that it does a lot of damage when it lands, as well as giving us that health back. So you can't go wrong with it really on this build. It just suits it perfectly. We've also got the golden parry on this one as well on our shield. I love the shield as well on this build. Visually, this build is absolutely awesome. I think it all flows together so well. He just looks like he's a homeless faith man. He looks like he's just nothing in the world. He's no armour. His weapons are old and rugged. He's got an old wooden board for his shield. I just love the character, the healer. I love it when I'm playing against a gank and one of them's playing that healing role. I don't think we see that enough. I think healers in Elden Ring are so underutilised. It's ridiculous. I think it's such a cool role to play in a group. If you're playing through the game and I invade you and one of the players in your team is a healer, it always brings a smile to my face. I honestly don't think we see it enough. If I was doing kind of a run through with some of my friends, I'd love to play this build, or even make another build and level it up as they level their characters up and be the healer in the party. I think it's such a cool role. We don't see enough of it, but from an invader's point of view, being a self-healer, not having anyone else to worry about having to heal, that can also make a really interesting playstyle. You can see there we went for the urgent heal, but the wizard interrupted us. We got a bit of space, we go for it again, and we topped our health up. Nice parry on the summon there. Down to one shot. And he rolls away. I think I managed to kill him here. There we go. Now it's just the horse. Just get rid of this guy, and then that's a done deal. Last invasion of the video, guys. The host is dead. And that's it. Nice invasion again. Let's take a look at the ratings for the healer. So performance, this is a B. As I said, it could be easily an S tier build if I leaned more into the healing flasks, but it takes away from the character, so I'd rather it perform at a B and be more satisfying and more true to the character then, you know, the opposite of that. Fun factor's an A, fashion's an S. As I said, I love the look of it. And that's it, guys. That is all the invasions I've got on these builds. I hope you enjoyed watching my level 30 builds. It's been a blast making it. I'll see you all next time.